What is going on, comic fans? Welcome to the Legion of Comic. I'm Mark, and I'm here today with my top 10 picks for the new comic book day of April 24th. Now, this one is a weird one. Now, a couple things before we start. Don't forget, Comics Curing Cancer C3 will be at the Heroes Con convention this year in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're getting closer to it. We're going to be tabling this year at booth number 1769. We'll have some really cool stuff that will be exclusive for that event. I know there's a lot of people in the community going. I hope you can make it. Be sure to follow Comics Curing Cancer on Instagram so that you know what we have going on. In case you can't make it, there might be some availability or options to get your hands on some of the stuff if you can't be there. And if you're interested in the Austin LeMay print, there's a couple left. Be sure to go to the Instagram page. You can find the prompts to get there to pick up one. Fantastic print. Big shout out to Austin LeMay, phenomenal artist. Can't thank him enough for that. Now, this week's new comic book day is fantastic. When I was putting together this list, it had me just ridiculously excited. You know, I slant heavily DC. There's a lot more indie steadily creeping their way into my list, with the Energon universe being so fantastic and Ghost Machine being the best thing happening in comics right now. That's a lot of outside of the big two publishing stuff. Really, that just goes to show you that it's the big three now. Image is putting out the Energon universe and the Unnamed universe. It's insane how much they have just rose to the top. But this list is dominated by some fun stuff, some funny stuff. And by the time I got to number 10, I'm like, yo, this list screams me. So I'm definitely interested in what your list for this week looks like. Leave some comments below about some of the more oddball titles that's kind of specific to your fandom, that you don't have as many people that you know that pick them up or read them, because I've got a handful of those that have all hit the same week with this. But before we dive in, don't forget to check out BigTimeCollectables.com. This is the, C2E2 time of year. So they have tons of books that they're posting up online with advanced availability to pick them up if you cannot go to the convention. Amazing stuff. All right, here we go. These are in no specific list. Kicking it off first, Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 4. Now, I have been enjoying this. It's kind of a hot take. I don't think this book is great. I don't think it's bad either. I think it's good. I feel like the drought of quality Spider-Man comics for so long is really helping to elevate this book, but I'm having a blast reading it all the same. I'm excited about where they're going to go, and currently we're watching J. Jonah Jameson and Uncle Ben try to formulate their own newspaper print and figure out what kind of corruption is happening in the city. Meanwhile, Spider-Man's just getting his web under him when he meets Harry Osborn, the Green Goblin, who had the ability to remotely take down his suit, revealing his identity. They've met each other demasked, knowing each other, both the characters they are. So I'm excited to see how the dynamic will play between Harry and Peter in the Ultimate Universe. They're not coming up as friends from school. They're coming up as friends as heroes. This is an interesting take, and that's really what's so fun about the Ultimate Universe of old, is just familiar stuff done differently. I enjoy it. It's like a giant, long-running what if, and that works out. It works out. Coming up next, we have Detective Comics issue 1084, Rom V's final art to Gotham Nocturus, kicking off Eulogy of Sand just wrapped. Now, this is it. This is the big kapow. A Batman that was poisoned by the Asmir, dementing his mind, trying to steal it from him, has got his mind back, got his faculties back. He went to the edge of the abyss. He didn't blink, and he came back to Gotham in that last issue. Finally back, but it's not a Gotham he recognizes, and the city doesn't recognize him. Being influenced and brainwashed by the Orgums, the city, though it's a safer place, it's not a free place. And it's going to be interesting to see how Batman integrates back into it, with the city being reintroduced to the Dark Knight. I cannot wait to see how this plays out. I'm enjoying that Renee Montoya, the Question, has a big part to play in these past two arcs as well. So let's see how this all goes. Hopefully we'll get Azrael back. We had an awesome tease and an awesome small part that Azrael played not long ago, and I'm really ready to get more Azrael. If I'm being straightforward, I just want Azrael. Put him in the suit, get him out there, let's go. But it's just, he hadn't been there. Next up on the list, right here, Dawn of DC is kicking off. It's still going strong, still going fantastic. It doesn't get the big banner across the top, but it still gets the Dawn of DC recognition right there. We have Green Arrow issue number 11. Green Arrow versus Merlin in a face-to-face. Merlin had been was responsible for him bouncing through the multiverse, thinking that he shouldn't come home, avoid the Arrow family at all costs for their sake. Now, at this point, he's under the instruction of Amanda Waller, being tasked with going to Sanctuary, stealing all the heroes' most deepest and personal secrets. She wants to know everything she can about these heroes so that she can steal their power, getting ultimate power for herself. She will not stop for anything. No one's safe. Amanda Waller's the big villain for this upcoming summer's DC event called Absolute Power, and we can already see the footprints leading us there. We have the Suicide Squad Dream Team as part of the road to Absolute Power, as well as the House of Brainiac. It's not tagged on the issues yet, but it is confirmed that that will be a lead-in, a road to Absolute Power as well. You don't want to miss what's happening in the Superman titles right now with what's the coming of the Brainiac army, the Zarnian army. Lobo's not the last one. There's big stuff going on, and Green Arrow's at the center of it. He's a president with the Suicide Squad at this point, just right there with Amanda Waller. He's going to be a big player. I think that he's going to have so much to do with this at this point. Joshua Williamson's ushered in this title from issue number 1, and he's been really architecting so much at DC Comics. Absolute Power itself will be spearheaded by the dynamic Dream Team of Mark Waid and Dan Mora. You're not going to want to miss it. Speaked about the Energon universe earlier, and here we go, the finale to our first miniseries tie-in for the, that's not a fair way to say it. It's a miniseries installment. So Transformers, Duke, and Cobra Commander are the 3 issues that exist in the Energon universe as of right now. Intertwined, sharing a universe, however you want to put it. All 3 titles have been just home runs. And issue 5 of Duke here marks the first title to wrap up its story. This spun out of the pages of Transformers issue 2 when Duke Conrad responded to an attack via jet and got into a dogfight with none other than Starscream. With his leadership not believing what happened to him, he went out on a quest himself to get answers, fighting against bad guys and his own teammates alike. Duke is dead set on getting them. This issue 5 promises to have an ending that you will never forget. I'm excited to see where it goes. Issue 4 already Easter egged and teased the next 2 entries. With Duke and Cobra Commander coming to an end, we're not going to be without Energon Joe titles. We'll be getting Scarlet and Destro next, and I'm all on board for the Energon universe. As I said earlier, the Energon stuff and the Ghost Machine stuff, it's really, as a whole, the most exciting stuff for me going on in comics. I love my DC stuff, and don't get me wrong there, but this is just so new, so fresh, so unpredictable. It's something to be seen. Joshua Williamson as well is writing this, just like over at DC. Next up, Penguin issue number 9, Tom King's magnum opus story for Oswald Cobblepot continues. It's 12-issue maxi series here, The Return to Gotham. This is really a coming of status quo, more or less. You know, we went a couple years where Penguin had the twins. He has these kids that have taken over his spot as the crime lord, his spot as the owner of the Iceberg Lounge. And for a while, we thought Penguin was killed. Obviously, in comics, people always come back, but story goes forward. He faked his own death just to get away. He was forced back in. You know, things are not the same in Gotham. Even the non-criminal entities would rather him be in charge of the criminal entities. It's the villain you know versus the unpredictable one you don't know kind of thing. Him forcing his way back into Gotham has been a twisted, dark, dreary tale, and it has been unpredictable and fantastic, much like the Energon stuff. Tom King knows how to really take a familiar character, find a specific quality or trait, and just push it to its limit. And it works so good. In that last issue, we saw the death of one of the important characters and players in this, as well as a lot of the people that we were introduced to along the way in this specific title. How the meetup with his kids are really going to go, I think we're just going to kill them off. And by the end of this, Penguin will be alive. He'll be in charge of the Iceberg Lounge, crime lord of Gotham, and the ridiculous twins will be gone. It'll be good to get through that. But this story is awesome. This should have been the One Bad Day story for Penguin, not the other one we got. Next up, Batman Dark Age by Mark Russell and Michael Allred. Phenomenal first installment. This one, instead of being 3 maxi-size comics, this is going to be 6-issue miniseries. And this is just a retelling, a reimagining of a very unique take on the Batman origin story. With first issue, we followed him through his teenage years. It was a rough go at it. Wayne Enterprises doing a forceful takeover and kind of just left young Bruce out to dry. He found himself in jail, and to get out of jail, he's going to sign up with the U.S. Army and really cut his teeth in the Vietnam War. This is going to be an interesting take, being that I believe it's Sergeant Al Ghul is going to be his commanding officer. So I'm all in for this. Superman Space Age was a 10 out of 10, and I expect this one, by the end of it, to be right up there with it. Coming in next, we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 119, Darkest Hour. I won't harp on this. man, it would be getting in the weeds to try to do it. The Rangers' last hope is on Earth. The grid is infected. The only place left is Earth. And it's only a matter of time before Dark Spectre gets there. Rita has now defected from Dark Spectre. Lord Zed has a power coin, and he has Rita back, and he dipped on the Rangers. It's just, the ish is hitting the fan. This Darkest Hour event is the best the Power Rangers have been since Shattered Grid. I look forward to every single issue. Next up, and this is going to be my pick of the week. I'm going to throw that out there. Dick Tracy, issue #1 from Mad Cave Studios. And this is where things get a little bit me-ish. Power Rangers, Dick Tracy, and the next couple to come. So we have a complete reimagining of Dick Tracy. It's the same old Dick Tracy you know and love, set directly after World War II. This private detective, with his radio watch, is investigating a string of murders. And as he goes down the dark, mysterious path of this murder, he runs into familiar faces and villains that we know and love from the Dick Tracy lore. But it's going to be told in a modern, edgy style. So it's going to be violent. It's going to be hard-hitting. I cannot wait for this. Look at that cover art. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. With Dick Tracy here, Flash Gordon with Jeremy Adams coming, brand new Space Ghost comic. Like, yo, there is so many fantastic alternatives, so many amazing properties that have stood the test of time for like longer than our parents have even been around, that are coming back. It's like a resurgence of like the 1940s. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Next up, we have Dune, House Corino, issue #2 dropping. Now, this is one that I will not be reading individually as it comes out. I will be collecting it and waiting to read it in its entirety. I have all 3 volumes of House Atreides, as well as House Harkonnen, and I want to get through all of those before I get to this one. So I'm playing a little catch up on some of the back issues, but I will be diving into this. These 8 covers are amazing. I just love this world of Dune. I absolutely loved it. Obviously, the movie is a masterpiece. Like Dune Part 2 is amazing. And I wanted to wait till I watched that before I started diving into the expanded world of Dune. I didn't want to ruin that movie experience for myself, and it worked out. And now that I've seen it a couple times, I'm ready to really just get lost in the sauce of this world. And that is part of picking this up. I love movie comic books. I love when they expand in canon on movie lore and books. And that's why coming in at #10 on this list, the final one for my top 10 is none other than Avatar Frontiers of Pandora Select's Journey. So I guess it has the Frontiers of Pandora to let the video game fans know that this can add on the lore of the game, maybe. I don't know. I don't video game, but I do Avatar with the best of them. And Select's Journey here follows the last member of his tribe after the Battle of the Hallelujah Mountains in the first Avatar film. He's on a spiritual journey to find himself, find his place, and he's dealing with a lot of this feeling that he doesn't recognize, these flashes back to the war, these reactions to sounds and stuff. He's dealing with PTSD, and the way that they deal with it is through a spiritual path, and he's on that journey. The last issue, he had to stare down and find a way to overcome a Thanator, that giant, like panther-like creature that Neytiri rode at the end of the first film. Fearsome creature, some of the most dangerous on all of Pandora, and it was a phenomenal issue. I cannot wait to see what they do with this issue. I absolutely love all the Avatar movie tie-in books. Are just amazing. They're just really good. If you enjoy the films, you would love the book. I'm just going to throw that out there. So that's going to do it for my top 10 list. Again, leave me a comment. Let me know some of the odd books that you pick up. I'm curious to see what other people grab. And if you need anything cleaned or pressed while you're thinking about it, be sure to hit the description. You can find links to all these great people I shouted out, including JustinComicx over on Instagram. Let them know you found him via the channel. And a huge shout out to ABX Comics and Games, the local comic shop here where I pick up all my books and stuff. Been around. They're the best of the best in the business. If you need a great place to like get a comic community online and stuff, other than here on YouTube, they have a great Facebook group where you can learn about comics, see what's coming out every week. You can buy stuff and everything, as well as the tabletop gaming stuff. They do all the card games and the like Warhammer and D&D and all that stuff. So if you're into any of that, it's a great place to find some other people that are into it as well. Maybe find your tribe. Until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.